Hello, everyone. A very good evening to one and all present. A very good afternoon to all of you. Uh, Let us start with today's webinar and let people join with us. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone on the chat as well. Let us, join with more and more people. Yes, people are pouring in. That's great to see. Okay, that's great. That's great. So today, myself, Dr. Renu, will be taking care of the webinar on the topic of writing research paper for top tier journals. And I think this is a topic which is of concern for like all of the researchers, including me as well. Um, Irrespective, we are in academics or we are in teaching in academics both, or we are just in research, our main point of concern is to get our researches published in the kind of journals which are primarily, or of great importance when it comes to, their research reputation. Okay, now I'm sure that all of you must be, must have joined from different fields, from different domains. So it would not be possible for me to give you the list of, journals, because many a times what happens is that I'm from engineering, I'm from pharmaceutical, so what journal should I consider? Because I come from management background, so I can tell you how you will, select the top tier journals in your domain, but giving a precise list would be difficult. Okay, so because I'm telling you in advance only. So before I begin and jump onto the topic itself, myself, Dr. Renu, and I'm currently joining with you all from Melbourne, Australia. And that's what I said, good evening, because here it's 7:30 in the evening. And I am a management academician from past 15 years precisely. And before moving to Melbourne, I was teaching in Dubai, and in Melbourne, I'm associated with RMIT University, University of Tasmania, in the capacity of management lecturer. Okay. So when it comes to research and research publication, the majority of us remains quite skeptical that what is the kind of uh, what do you say, that publication research journals we should choose from. And also, when it comes to selecting the kind of journal, which one we should select to. So this webinar is precisely aimed at that particular concern. And also, after moving from that, I'll be telling you that how you can actually structure your manuscripts, research papers, so that your paper is publication ready, and you can just be rest assured that yes, I am on the right track. I'll be giving you some tips also, so that you are in right fit. Okay, so this webinar, as you all know, is being organized by Research Graduate. So Research Graduate, let me assure you, is a one stop solution for all your research queries. So, when I say research queries, so many a times what happen is that even though we are quite good in our work and we are sorted with what we want to do, but there are a couple of instances where we find ourselves stuck. Okay, so for all those points, you can be rest assured, and you can just get in touch with Research Graduate. So, starting from topic selection till your proposal writing, till your dissertation writing, statistical analysis, any kind of editing, proofreading is required, your call should be going to Research Graduate. And you can call them, get in touch with them, with the team, with our team, at info@researchgraduate.com. And the WhatsApp number is on your screens. Their website is research.graduate.com. Okay. Now, let me tell you about the structure of this webinar as well. It'll be around 90 minutes or so, followed by a series of question and answers, which is of 30 minutes precisely. So, you and me will be engaged in this discussion for the next 2 hours from now. Okay. Now, the recordings and the PPTs will be given to you. So just be rest assured about that as well. Please make sure that whatever email ID you have given is the ones which you regularly browse through. All right. Second thing is, please increase your video quality by 720p so that you can have a better experience. If anybody has joined us from phone, they might can have a glitch. I mean, technology is something which is beyond our hands sometimes. Okay. All right, so let us first start with the webinar. Okay, like I told you that many of us, are into academics and research both. Some of us are into just research. I mean, when I say just research, I mean to say we are in the process of completing our PhD or any other research courses, or we are a purely a research person. Also, we are into, that kind of that we publish a lot of paper, or like I said, for me, in a year at least two good quality research publications should be there. Now when I say two quality, why I say so? Because a quality paper needs time, starting from scratch, that is conceptualizing that paper, till the time it get published. Okay, so in a year you can actually gauge upon to 2 to 3 good quality papers, which is a good number. Okay. Now, when you are concerning about your publication, specifically in a top tier journal, so you need to understand a couple of things, that on what basis we talk about that, yes, this is a journal which is a top tier one, or this is a journal which can definitely contribute to my CV or my research portfolio, so that whenever I'm going for any kind of academic promotion or I'm going for any kind of research opportunity, so that can back me up. Okay, so basically, when I say, see, I have just got, I think, two questions right now to share the list of journals. That's what I told you during the starting of the webinar, that it'll be very difficult for me to provide the list of journals to all of you. Like, somebody's from English, somebody's from botany, somebody's from pharmaceutical, somebody's from management. In management also you have different principles and domains. So I can tell you how you can select good journals for yourself, so that you are a better master for your own domain. Okay, like somebody is from English. So I will tell you what is the impact factor you should, what is the impact factor, concept of impact factor is, CiteScore is, so that you can better have a list of those yourself, because you know your domain, you know your field better than me. Okay. So now, when you are talking about top tier journals, journal impact factor and ranking, the journal matrix I'll be talking about here. What I'll be talking here to start with, what I would like to focus on to begin with is, generally we get a lot of rejections from these top tier journals. Now that is because their their peer review process is really stringent, and the editor who is actually looking for the first level of filtration for for these kind of journals is primarily looking for very high quality journals. Now when I say high quality journals, in the research fraternity, in majority parts of the world, I'm saying majority parts of the world, in the research fraternity, quantitative research is primarily been more pushed up than qualitative. And I'm not saying that quantitative is good or qualitative is bad, so don't take this discussion into that perspective. Is that the research which is data backed, which is contributed towards through the primary data, so these kind of research are primarily pushed upon more. However, coming back to the topic which I was saying, that the editors, or the role of editors in these kind of journals, it is to maintain that high quality of work. Now, as per me, my quality of work is high standards. right? I have done all the kind of work in that. But however, does that kind of quality is being expected by the journals I had delivered it or not? That is the question. Second thing, we somehow do not understand the peer review process of the journal which we send to. Okay, now like I said that a good paper requires at least 3 to 6 months to get published, I'm saying. Why? Because let's say 3 months you take for the completion of the paper. Okay, now then you send it to the respective XYZ journal. Now, you need to know firstly that whatever journal I am going for, I have chosen for my paper publication, how long does it take? So, sometimes we are in a hurry or we don't have much time or our promotion is due around the corner. We badly want a paper to be published. In that case, we need to be assured that the peer review process is not that long that it takes too much of our time. Okay, so you need to understand that whatever journal I'm sending it to, that will have, especially the top tier journal, that will have couple of months for its peer review process. Okay, now some basically, when you talk about the top tier journals, they follow the different types of peer reviews as well. Okay, that also you need to be sure of. Like you'll send the paper, they will take first level of peer review, then they'll send the feedback to you, you accommodate the feedback, then again another level of feedback review would be done. So that entire process, like for example, I'm associated with 3 journals right now, so the time which is given to me for my review is generally 15 to 21 days. That is 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So imagine if I am giving in 3 weeks, sometime I buy more time as well if I have some other professional commitments. So nearly, more than 3 weeks is been, the paper is being one with one review. Then the feedbacks will be given to you as an author. Then they'll come back. So basically, the top tier journals generally has layers of steps involved in their peer review process. Okay, because they are with the aim that we need to maintain the certain quality of our the research to be published. Now, the top tier journals, in whatsoever domain you search for them, they always look forward to some innovative kind of researches. Okay. Now, when I say innovative kind of research, that means something new you have contributed to your field. That is called groundbreaking research. Okay. So that means the kind of work you have delivered, probably you have delivered you have came up with a theory, or you have devised a framework, or you have come up with a statistical model, or you have conceptualized a concept. These kind of journals are primarily looking for these kind of researches. Okay, how your research is actually providing a challenge to what is being existing right now, that is to be focused. So always as a researcher, I will suggest you that always focus on something which is new in your field. Play around the variables, find out something which is a real life problem, or probably work upon that thing, devise a statistical model, or probably come up with a framework that you need to focus on. Okay. All right. After this, let us understand the journal impact factor. Now, when I say the journal impact factor, also, before I move ahead, I'll be taking questions after the webinar. So, in between the webinar, I'm so sorry, I would not be able to pick up any questions because it actually distracts the webinar theme. Okay, just flow gets disrupted. So, I will appreciate if you can note down your questions on a notepad, and after the webinar, once the webinar my discussion is ends, you can shoot up the questions. Okay, all right. Now let's first talk about what is a journal impact factor. Now, when I say journal impact factor, basically these factors, impact factors, are used to measure how much the journal is important. How do you do that? You do it by calculating the number of, understand this thing. You calculate journal impact factor by calculating the number of times the article was selected or by cited in the last few years. You calculate the impact factor now, whatever field you are from, whatever domain you come from, you are asking these, when you are asking the list from somebody, or you want to like tell me the top tier journal, you can do it yourself. How? This, that how many times the article is being cited in the last few years. Okay, so higher the impact factor is, higher the ranking of the journal. Very simple. Okay, the more the number of more the number of citations is being done, the higher will be the rank. So we calculate impact factor is by the average of the sum of the citations, average of the sum of the citations which are being given to a journal previous 2 years of publication divided by the sum of citable publication in the previous 2 years. This is the way generally we calculate, and you need not to calculate it, because whenever you are approaching any website of the journal, the homepage of the journal, they mention the impact factor. It is for your understanding that when you see impact factor, when people are talking about impact factor, what exactly they are talking about. So, in a nutshell, if I tell you that in what is exactly the journal impact factor is, right? So, it has been done that total number of times the article was cited in the previous 2 years, 2 previous years, which is divided by the total number of citable articles in the journal. Okay, it gives you the journal impact factor. Okay, so basically, it has been calculated by the journal itself, and they mention it on their home page. Clear? So, for your future understanding, you have this thing in your mind that when somebody is talking about impact factor, they are talking about the number of citations, number of times the articles has been cited in a layman language in the last 2 years. Okay, all right. Now let's moving ahead. Let's talk about ranking now. So when I say journal ranking, so journal ranking is basically, now when you say that, give me the list of journals. So basically what you're talking about is, you're talking about the journals which are ranked in your field. Okay. Now generally journal ranking is primarily that what is the place of that journal in the given field. Okay. Now as much as difficult the journal to get through is for the paper publication is, the higher the rank will be. As you move down the rankings, your paper publications becomes difficult with that journal. Okay, all right. Now journal ranking is basically, is that tool which tells you or which gives you the opportunity to sort by the number of citations. You, because take it this in mind, the journal which has the articles which are being cited multiple times by other authors, that means the quality of the articles are good, right? And if these articles are being getting in that published, automatically the journal has to be good. Just understand like this. So that's why we say that top tier journals are becoming very difficult to publish your paper, because they handpick the papers to get published in them, because the quality of the paper they publish will be further cited by other authors, so it is a gateway for other authors as well. So Shimago basically tells you about the journal ranking, which is a website that provides journal ranking like Shimago journal rank, quartiles, or site scores. Okay, so when you talk about quartiles, measures a journal impact or its influence or what kind of prestige it has. So journals are generally ranked in quartile 1, 2, 3, and 4. So whenever you say that, okay, it's quartile 1, okay, okay, that's that they are talking about rankings now. So you understand this. So whenever, because generally, let me be very clear, when I started writing papers, okay, I had a glimpse of the idea, like if I impact factor I should check, ranking should be checked, but it was very vague, quartile 1, 2. So now I understand they're talking about the rankings itself. Okay. Then Scopus, which is a very widely popular name. Scopus basically allows you to search for the journal titles by quartiles, again, site scores, and snipes to inform your decision about the best source. So you can search in Scopus by site scores, quartiles, and snipes. So snipes or source basically normalize the impact per peer members citation impact of the journal. So it is being calculated by the citation impact of the journal, so that you can compare one journal around across the different subject fields, that how much that journal has, or the prestige in as compared to the different fields. Okay. Okay. Now basically what is you are seeing on your screen is primarily, I have given you a kind of research matrix. Okay, now I'll be focusing more on here. Okay, I'll be focusing more on here. This, when you talk about how to use research matrix, so here, wherever you are seeing J, it is for your journal. Wherever you are seeing, it is for article. So when I'm saying H index, so this matrix is primarily being used for the journal and the article both. Impact factors, impact factor you choose only, or impact factor is a reflection only for the journal, not for the article. Eigen factor is only for the journal, not for the article. So for researchers, wherever I'm focusing right now, matrix actually help the researchers to choose which kind of journal you want to submit your work. Okay, so that's basically, it's a kind of criteria on the basis of which you can select your journal to publish. Impact factor we understood. Let me talk about the 5-year impact factor. So when you talk about 5-year impact factor, 5-year impact factor basically attempts to reflect the longevity of the research. Now what does it mean? That means year by year, that article can be cited. Okay, so the research findings are so much, have the content that they can be reproduced or they can be cited over the number of years. Okay, so these are basically useful for the subject areas. Now understand, according to, here guys, you please pay attention that, um according to your field, you can see the 5-year impact factor, that these 5-year impact factor is primarily useful. Abby, if the slide is not visible, don't worry, the slide will be given to you. You just listen to me right now. Okay, so 5-year impact factor is useful for those subject area where it takes longer for work to be cited. So because you have, your in your field, the work takes time to get cited. Like in management, it it generally takes, does not take much time, right? So how you calculate the 5-year impact factor? Number of citation in one year, to content published in the last 5 years. Okay, divided by number of articles and review published within the previous 5 years. So total number of articles. Okay, then let's talk about your H index, which is for both journals and articles. H index attempts to measure the productivity of a researcher. Now understand, attempts to measure the productivity of the research and the citation impact by their publication. So how good the particular research is. Now for other factors, we are talking about journals, how good the journal is. Here we are talking about how good the journal is, how good the article is. Okay, so you get the H index for the journal and you get the H index for your article also. It varies by different fields, and primarily it depends upon which data source is used to calculate the value. Okay, so if you have a H index of, let's say, 10, Let's say you get a 10 edge index of, let's say, 10. So you must have published at least 10 papers that have been cited 10 times or more. You got my point? So if you have H index of 10, that means you have that quality of work which is being cited 10 times or more. Okay, so I have given you this matrix for your reference. Whosoever from now on wants a good journal or is in search of good journal, then you can actually refer to this matrix, referring to this researchers part. Okay, now we can talk on and on about it, but we have the rest of the webinar also to be taken care of. Now, how to choose an appropriate journal for you. Now you know that. Firstly, my suggestion is just to have a qualitative work, so that you don't get trouble from the journal itself. Now the point come when my research is of qualitative level, is of standards. Now how should I choose an appropriate one? Now let's talk about, you're talking about journal of, you're talking about the field of management, so you have many journals in that. But is your article is the right one, or probably that journal is the right one for you, or the um, but the article is the best fit for the journals? There has to be a fit. Okay, now how do you choose the appropriate journals? You read their key articles, so that you get to know, you get to understand that, and the list of publication has been given on their homepage. So you get an understanding that what kind of paper publication they are being engaged in. Then you visit their website, so their goals and scope has to be there, so you read them, what exactly they publish on, plus their submission guidelines. So whether they only publish for qualitative paper, or they only publish for quantitative paper, they go for scientific papers, they go for research paper, they go for review paper, or they go for all kind of paper, you'll get to know it. Then on the basis of their requirement, on the basis of what they publish, you get back to your own work, that what you have written. Okay, then evaluate the quality of the publication. Obviously, you just get through see, you being a researcher, you know that you are a better judge, not only for your work, also for the place where you are considering that my work is going to go. Okay, because I understand that being a researcher, it's a pain to just let go our researchers to places where you don't get enough credibility. So you read, because I have come across many times the journals where they do not publish the good quality paper. And obviously, if you are sending a good quality paper to them, they'll be more than happy to send it to you. Okay, like publish to them. So just quality of previous publication is very important to just go for it, go for the future publications by you. And also just check the reputation of the journals. So strong reputation, the journal which has the strong reputation, definitely it will increase the impact of your research. Ultimately, when you are going for an interview, or you are going to go for a project grant, any times in future, that is going to have an impact. Like I'll tell you that majority of the university, they actually ask your research portfolio in terms of what kind of publications you have in back, where they all are being published, what kind of work you have done. So in that, you know like for example, in Australia, more than Scopus index, they go for ABDC index journals. So is it A category, A plus category, B category, or C category journals? So it is a lot. I mean, and academicians, they know the journals by name, that which category of journals are these. So make sure that you do not let your work waste. Okay. Then comes to how to explore, compare, and track journal citation impacts with CiteScore matrix. So I have given you CiteScore matrix here, right? Which is here, which is CiteScore basically is currently available for over 22,000 journals or more, which are indexed in Scopus. Okay. Site score basically, it aims to capture the optimum citation period for more subject areas. Like, what is the time period, or what is the optimum citation time period? Okay, now what is it exactly? It is a ratio of citations to research published, like whatever researches are being published, so the ratio of their citation, and how much is the material published in the articles, in the journal. When I say material, it does not only restrict to research paper, or does not only restrict to articles, all the material. So the ratio between the citations and the total number of item published. Okay, so that is primarily is your site score. So for scopus, when you go to their journal matrix, so you can go to refine titles, and then I have given you the way to calculate it. Basically, it is the definition of each of the filtering options. So like you get, you know, what do you say, that you go for online shopping, you go for colors, size, price, same way you get to foresee all the items related to, or filtering titles related to the journal. And on the basis of that, like for example, here you can see that 5 years of site score matrix is available, the subject area, the source type. You get to see all quartiles are being given, one, two, three, four, right? What are the journals which are there open source? Now, open source journals are the one, I'm sure all of you know it, but let me give you a quick recap. Open source journals are the one which does not bound a researcher for any kind of subscription fee to access the researches, or to take the researches for their citations to pay something. So they are open, they do not have any restriction amongst them, right? So this is just a way, this is just a snapshot which I have given it to you, that when you are actually filtering the journal for your own publication. Okay, all right. Now, how do you evaluate the reputation of the journals you are considering? Now, let's say from here on, you have got to know that these are the journals which has come to me. Okay. So out of that, like out of the rest, you need to choose the best. So always look for the impact factor of the journal. And I told you what is that. Okay. High quality journals are primarily known by all, like in your field, whatever field you come from. You are in touch with any professor or any academicians who is there in the research field as well from quite a long time. So you need not to, you just ask them, okay, fine, what is good journal in management? So I'll tell you, I go for journal of management, it's a good one, right? So that reputation gives them a publicity which comes from word of mouth. Okay. Quality journals will also share that what will be the step by step peer process on their website. It has been clearly discussed by many. Okay, so now after the filtration, when you have 3 4 journals, just go through. Now lastly, this is very important for all of you to listen. When you have 3 to 4 journals to choose from, now which fits into your requirement? Let's say if you need a quicker submission or quicker publication, so you will go for the journal which has, like, you know very fit in kind of review process as per your requirement, does not take much time. Or probably formatting guidelines are too not too difficult, because see, likewise, I am very good in writing, but I'm not good in formatting. Assuming I can't format my paper, or it pains me to format my paper. So formatting guidelines also. And you know what, trust me guys, that generally your papers does get rejected on the basis of the formatting you guys have done. Usually I have seen that the first 2 times publishers or researchers, you are very new to the research, I understand it, but it, sometimes the formatting gets very messy also, so that also gives a very negative impression of you being a researcher when you are submitting to a journal. So look for the impact factor, choose like couple of handfuls of them to choose from, and then which fits into your requirement in terms of publication process or the formatting guidelines, just go for them accordingly. Okay, all right. And matrix I have given you to choose from. Now, selecting the right journal so that your paper reaches to the right venue. Okay, because uh, what happened is I'm clearly reviewing that we were in the midst of an interview taking for an assistant professor role. So there were a couple of people in the panel. When I say couple of people, I was like 3 to 4 people. So we were interviewing a candidate, and there I saw that there was a journal of financial management, and in that the article was published on leadership. So, Journal of Financial Management, an article of leadership does not have a right kind of fit. Financial management journals and article. So that was a question raised from that candidate to justify this publication. So that came out that it was a special issue which was issued on influence of leadership in the financial growth of an organization, like that. But otherwise, first impression was financial management and leadership, it's not something which is not close by to each other, right? So it was a special issue, so it just went by smoothly. However, many a times what happen is many predatory journals are also there, and also not that high rank journals you send to your paper. But it's very important that you always choose right journal for your paper, not only to get into a good one, but also to not to get your work wasted, because once it is published, you cannot use it anywhere else. So your paper should get the right place. Plus, if you do not aim at right journal according to your work, you will eventually get into rejection. Now that rejection sometimes also does not come immediately, that takes time. So you are in an impression by that my paper is under publication, but it is not. So then you get a bad news that, oh, my paper got rejected. Now, so when you are selecting the right journal, you need to know about the scope of the journal, which we'll be talking about, who kind of people are reading it, what are the recent publications, so that you get a hint of it that okay, fine, my work is a right one for this journal. And also you understand the journal specific requirements. Now this requirement is been always given on the journal homepage, under for the authors, for the submission or submission, it is very clearly, even if it's a low category journals, they also mention it very clearly. That's what are the submission guidelines. So please adhere to them. I'm not saying for the low category journals, okay? Please read the journal scope very clearly. Okay. Now, what exactly is a journal scope? Now, when I'm saying, now all these things that does not matter to us as a researcher when we are in a process of writing a paper, or when we are collecting data, conceptualizing a paper. But when the time of publication comes, it's very important that you browse through the journal. Now, when I say browse through the journal, it's very important for you to understand where I'm sending my paper, where I'm sending my publication. So, journals, aim basically is that objective, is that purpose where journal is, trying to achieve what was being, stipulated as in terms of aims for them. And scope is basically how they will achieve it. Okay, so and every journal about us or about the journal scope and object are being given. Generally, I have given you the example on your screen, which you can see. When you talk about the aims and the scope, it generally talks about the brief introduction about the journal. What are the subjects covered? So from here also you can get an idea that whether I'm on the right page or not. Okay, what are the types of articles they will publish? Like I told you in the starting that many journals, they only look for the quantitative papers, and they clearly mention it. They also mention is please don't send these kind of paper like review paper, or the qualitative paper. Some journals are really very categorically choosing their publication. What is the peer review process, and what are the publishing options? Like it is an open access also, like I told you about open access. So is it an open access journal or is not, or does they have both kind of? So you get to know from journal scope. And Trust me, guys, who is a serious researcher, I mean, right, who is a serious researcher, you should go through it. Avoiding journal scope and sending it for publication will let you be under unnecessary rejections. Okay. Then we need to understand that once we are going through the journal scope, then whatever audiences they cater to, journal cater to, whosoever people, audience as in you, me, other researcher, whosoever people like us are been reading that journal, will they be interested in what I'm writing? Is the language too technical? Because honestly speaking, I come across a paper, which was a complete quantitative paper for review. Honestly speaking, that paper was selected from the editor. I had to send it back because the language was too technical. As in, too technical, as in when you are talking about the results, also, when you're talking about the discussions, also, it has to be interpreted. Okay, now why I say it was too technical? Because me as a reviewer can understand it, but when it will get published, it will tear down the reputation of me as a reviewer also and the journal also, that why such a difficult language? Because many a times you must have also gone through the papers which are too technical to understand. There is no point on going through any research. And let me tell you guys, this is something related to the writing aspect. We are not writing Oxford dictionary in our papers, which is difficult for people to understand because we are writing for them to read. So it has to be in a language, or it has the terminologies, even if it's, they are written or they are complicated, make sure you explain them, right? So the paper should be written with an aim that general readers can read it and understand it. Okay. Also, that are you writing a paper for any specific kind of audience? So is that journal, like for example, if I'm talking about GDP of Australia, or I'm talking about factors leading to economic growth in Australia in next 5 years, like it is primarily related to Australian economy, everybody might not be interested, right? So you need to know that what kind of people, or what is the scope of the audience of the journal. Also, is your paper is appropriate for the journal, like I told? And also, is your work is too similar to other articles in the journal? Like, when you go through everybody is talking about the let's say for example, there was a time when COVID came. Soon after, everybody was talking about COVID, and many a times we used to go for, because I also wrote two papers on COVID during COVID times, on COVID impressions on work from home teachers, stress management. So that time I used to come across many papers on COVID, very similar, very similar to one another. So you have to see that, is your paper is too similar to others, you might not get as good citations. Okay. Plus, even if the journal accept it, citation comes a problem, or they might not accept your paper because your paper is generally on the same page what they have already published. So they want something new. Like I told you in advance, good tier journals, they want something new. Okay. Now it's time to understand submission guidelines. Please, please, please. Now all of you know it. There is no point on repeating on same things. Just gather all the material you have. Like, go to their website, go for the submission checklist, because many a times they ask you to go for a cover letter also, appendices also, research paper also. Failing to do so will make your paper rejected. Let me do very clear. Okay. If there is any tracking option available for your paper, because there are a couple of journals, there are many journals, rather I should say that, who gives a tracking option. Please don't check it unnecessarily every night before sleeping, or every fortnight. Sorry, every alternate night. Fortnight is fine. Okay. So submission guidelines should be understood by you very clearly. If any document is required, if the cover letter is required, cover letter is generally required mandatorily for good top tier journals. Cover letter basically tells you, understand it, and please pay attention to me what I'm saying. Cover letter generally is the letter which you attach with your paper for the publication, in which you are talking about you, your organization, or when I'm say talking about is just mentioning the names, okay? Your paper title, what is the paper about, so that before going to the paper, editor is going through that cover letter and getting an idea about the paper itself, methodology used generally, and the findings. So this gives an idea to the editor himself that whether this is worth reading or not, the paper is worth reading or not. And please go through the checklist also. Okay, all right. Now let's talk about, this is something which you should pay attention, the publication summary which I have prepared for you. So you know the journal scope and publication criteria. Once your paper is ready, you understand the journal scope and publication criteria. Then comes that what kind of articles they choose to publish. Okay, so once you go through this, then you understand that what kind of articles they publish. Then you understand their audiences. Okay, then you understand the specific criteria and the guidelines. Then you move on to what kind of formatting they want. And this is also very important. Like, for example, is there any kind of spacing, 1.3, 0.5 on the left and the right? Subheadings are required. Subheading should be any Arial 20, 12 or 14. They are very particular. And if there is any length and word restriction, I have given an example of couple of journals. This is very important to focus on. So this is what you are seeing on your screen, is what we have understood so far. Okay, so this is your journal publication summary. All right, okay. Now then comes the paper itself. Now you understood, you need to publish it. So that part has been taken care of well. Now comes the thing which needs to get published. That's your paper. So to begin with, we'll be talking about the abstract itself. Like we say, first impression is the last impression. So your abstract is that first impression, because many journals, they ask you for the abstract first, then to send the paper later. Okay, so abstract generally, is being not understood properly by the researchers. Okay, you need to summarize your key findings. What are your problems, research problem or objective? What is the problem in research problem you have chosen? And very simple, concise language. We are not talking, like I told you, we are not creating any Oxford dictionary. No jargons, no abbreviation. It has to be a very simple language abstract. Now, when it comes to abstract, also, journals also specify if there is any specific criteria to write an abstract. So they want background information separately, methodology separately, findings separately, and then conclusion separately, or they want a paragraph including all of it. Okay, so just pay attention. Just don't randomly write it that I'm sending an abstract. Okay, what exactly it has been included in the abstract is, I have bulleted down those points for your better understanding. Your introduction, why it is important. And I'm saying, when I'm saying introduction, is introduction of the topic is just 1 or 2 lines. Okay, 1 or 2 lines of each, that's it. What is a research gap? Because research gaps will tell you what are you working on, your research questions or research problem or aim, any particular methodology you opted for, your key message as in what exactly you want to communicate through this paper, and summary of the key findings. Okay, now this is basically a snapshot. Now you can actually, when whomsoever is preparing their abstract, that you can actually tick box these. So this is done, this is done, this is done. So this I have prepared for you to get an idea, so that you know what should be looking like a abstract. Now let us have a look on 4 C's of abstract. This, which is the one I have prepared for you. It should be complete. It should cover the major part of your research project or the paper. It should be concise. Every journal gives you a word limit for your abstract, so no extra information. Okay, it should be clear, very well to read. It should be cohesive. When I say cohesive, is it should make sense that first line is ending and it is giving way to the next line. Okay. All right. Then it is how you write a good abstract. Here, firstly, it's very important to do this. This I told you about, 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 this I told you about. Seek feedback, you can do it from your professors or mentors. This is very important. Keywords. Now, why I'll tell you? Because the keywords are those identifiable words which will give your paper a better visibility when other authors or other researchers are searching through the journals. So these are the keywords. You're not writing for yourself, you are writing for ensuring the better visibility of your paper. Okay, so choose the keywords wisely. Do not just hop on that, okay fine, this is the word, this is the one. Let's, because we need to give five of uh, the keywords, let's choose any. Okay, so don't do that. Just make sure that you all needs to choose these keywords very wisely. Okay, all right, let's move to introduction. Journal sorted, choosing a journal sorted, abstract sorted. Let's talk about introduction. Introduction is something which can decide that your editor or your reviewer or even the other researchers will be engaged to your paper or not. It should be a better summary of your paper in a concise way, that it is clearly indicating about the background of the paper in terms of literature if needs to be there, plus a hypothesis or objective if the research has the hypothesis, then them, or the objectives. Clearly these 3 points has to be there. Okay, now how to write an engaging one. So introduce your topic firstly. Okay, then what exactly in that should come. If you would like to start with introducing the research topic, you need to um, highlight why this topic is important for your research field. What is the background of the topic? Now, background of the topic, understand this thing. What kind of researches are being published in the past related to your topic? That is background. Okay. All right. Then comes what is happening right now. See, I have break down this introduction for you specifically. Again, just tick box. Okay, this is done, this is done. What is happening right now? Then comes your research niche, which will tell you that if there is any research gap, and then goes on to your research questions. Lastly, the aim of your study, what are the key characteristics, if there are important results to be announced later, how the study is novel, I mean, it has not done been prior, and what is the overall structure of your paper. So basically, this is the way you maintain the flow of your introduction. Like I told you for the abstract, like I told you for the journal publication summary, this is the way you maintain this flow of your introduction. So introduction is basically setting out a the reading platform for the audiences. Okay, this is very important. All right, now comes the most one of the most difficult section for the students, and where many of the researchers, we failed miserably. Why we failed miserably, let me tell you very frankly. We are very good with literature, we are very good with writing paper, we are very good with writing discussion conclusion, but when it comes to research methodology, it is something which we scummed on. But guys, what happened is that majority, or rather I should say that all the top tier journals, they are looking for a good research methodology. In this chapter, in my opinion and in my advice, you should spend the maximum time just make it very clear that not only discussing the methods which you have chosen, but why you have chosen. So that in future, if anybody else wants to use that method on the similar kind of research, that can be trusted upon. Okay. Whatever results you come upon, whatever techniques you have used, whatever analysis you have done, please segregate them, present them in a chronological order, and justify them. Also, this is the feedback which I give many a times to the paper I review, that they very clearly mention that, we have used this test or we have applied this data collection tool. Why this? Because that gives me an opportunity to understand the clarity of the mind the researcher has. That has to be done most importantly. Okay. Okay. Now, transparency is the key, and rationalize your choices. Transparency is just to not indulge yourself into any kind of false data, fabrication data, whatever you have done, that only to be discussed. Because many a times what happens is, and I have noticed this thing also, that just to fantasize the research methods chapter, you just talk about glorious way of research method, but that does not align with your research objectives at all. That does not reflect in your results at all. So be transparent. If you have done interview, yes, interview, and don't fabricate the data which the responses respondents have given it to you. Rationalize your choices means justify. If you choose an interview as a data collection method, why you have chosen it? Why not focus groups? Why not observation? Okay, so I'm not saying choose talk about every other method, because me as a reviewer can ask you, why not observation, why not focus groups? So if you have already justified your choices of choosing interview, I'm sorted, right? Okay, so these are these steps. So step one is primarily that you remember your method section, that it serves two purposes. It helps the reader to understand the study, and if others want to replicate it also, that I told you. Then they should get, they as in the journal people, they should get the detailed method. And because journal reject your paper if they do not find any clear methodology, let me tell you in advance. Then imagine that if you would like to do, or if you'd like to replicate this same study in coming years, will this method work or not? Okay, then do not hesitate to use data visualization tools. That means flowcharts. Use ample flowchart, decision trees, checklist. Just do it. And then whatever ethical guidelines. Now this has been very important, because when it is the time of AI we are living in, specifically, talking about ethical considerations of the research is mandatory for many journals. So please make sure that you pay attention to them as well. Then highlight the steps you have taken, okay, so that you are ensuring the validity and the reliability of the research. Like for example, you have done the like for the reliability and the validity, you have done the pilot studies, or probably you have taken certain methods to reduce the bias or to control the extraneous variables. And so make sure you mention it. Make sure you mention every detail in methodology. Ethical consideration I talked about. Do not hesitate to talk about your challenges. Like, for example, taking the interviews, it takes time, right? And it does not ensure the availability of the respondents all the time. This is your challenge. Make sure you mention it. And then how your methodology, whatever methodology you have taken, is being given or is being linking you to that results. Just mention that as well. Okay. All right. Now, presenting the methods and results clearly, this is a snapshot which I have given to you, that once your methodology is done, once you have analyzed the data, now it's time to present it. You have all your data. If you have similar data, please remove it or group them. Duplication of the data should be avoided. That's what I'm saying. Or if you are studying grouping, patterns, theme, then group the data. What all are the key findings? Highlight them. Do not forget, if possible, to add this data visualization, charts, pie charts, graphs, table, footnotes, everything. Then interpret the main findings, interpret the results. Now, like I told you, one of the paper I rejected because the language was too technical, even the interpretation was too technical. I understand what does percentage means to me in my data analysis. My reader does not. I have to interpret in a language where the readers can also understand. That's what interpretation is all about. The textual explanation. What does my results mean for them? Okay. See, till data analysis, my research is mine. From there on, my research becomes theirs. As in, I'm writing for them for their better understanding. Okay? All right. Now let's skip the break. Though we can take a 5 minutes break, but let's continue because the flow is maintained. Okay. Now, journal selected. How to do selection, that is done. Abstract done. Introduction done. Methodology and results done. How can we do that? Now let's talk about interpretation and findings. Because no matter how good your results are, no matter how good the research methodology is, but if your findings are confusing to understand, plus interpretation is not done nicely, plus you have not done anything which is new to the field results, right? So it's better to discuss the findings, significance, implication in a good way. Firstly, whatever your results are, they should not be out of the blue moon, because you started your hypothesis and objective in the starting. Now there is no connection between them. Useless. There has to be connection between them. Okay. How your research can be applied to a broader acumen, that to be done. Plus, just do not feel afraid of mentioning your limitations. By saying I does not mean that you elaborate on them, but presenting limitation in such a way that even though these challenges were there, but my research quality is adhered. However, it could have been better if these land challenges were not there. You got my point, what I'm saying? Okay. Now let's talk about how to write them. So these are a couple of points which I have told to you, which I have like mentioned for you. Again, I've tried to make these PPTs in such a way so that you get these bullet points and you tick them. Okay, fine. This is done. This is done. This is done. This is done. So when you're talking about your findings, interpretation, summarize your key findings. Come up again with your research problem in a rephrased manner, and then okay fine, this is the problem. Now for this problem, these are the findings. Okay, then comes your interpretation. What did you find? Was there any relationship between the data? Was there any unexpected results you came up with? Is there any alternative explanations also? Then comes this. Then talk about your implication. Is there any theoretical implication, literature implication? I mean, is your finding is contributing to any literature or any existing body with any, let's say, theory came up, definition came up, or how does it contributes to the organizations? These are the implications. How your research is useful for literature or for the organization. Then come up to limitations. If because of those challenges, those limitations, any impact, like for example, probably data collection took time, that was your limitation because you couldn't persuade the the what do you call it, respondents to just fill out your questionnaire, right? So that took time, you couldn't do much about that. Then comes your recommendations, which says that what do you want to suggest for the future researchers. So this is a highlight of how your discussion section should look like. Okay. Okay. Then now your paper is ready. Again, I'm giving you a snapshot. Abstract done, introduction done, methods done, results done, discussion done, interpretation done. Now your paper is ready. Ready as in tits and bits, it's ready. Now just arranging it so that introduction does not like look from Jupiter and this methodology comes from Mercury, right? We have to make it like a paper plan. So we need to make sure that whatever I always give this advice to my students also, you end that line of one paragraph so that it is giving an introduction to the next paragraph. There has to be a smooth flow. The way we read our novels and the books, there is a connection. Similar connection has to be there in your research as well. Okay? Now, then comes structuring your manuscript. How do we do that? So, there is a standard structure after the title and the abstract. Now, what I'm telling you, what I'm going to tell you is something which is a standard one. Majority of the journals they choose this. However, just do not assume that Dr. Renu said this is a standard one, that means it is by all. No. Okay. It is a standard one, that means majority of the journals they follow it. However, my advice would be that before you go for the journal publication final, please check what is their specific structure. What is the specific structure of the manuscript they are looking for? Okay, so that's fine. So after the title and the abstract, that has to be followed. So this is introduction, your material and method, that is research methodology, then your results, and then your discussions and conclusions. So basically, what we understand is as that IMRD method, IMRD structure. This is a general standard structure of the paper which majority of the journals accept. When I say majority, I do not mean all. So just remember in your mind, I'm RD. Plus, second thing is, even if not all accept this way, then you are not in a wrong way. If these structures are prepared, if these sections are prepared, even if there is a change, just put it here and there. That's it. Okay. So after you're done with your title and you're done with the abstract, focus on this. Okay. Now I just have to like I would just like to give you a little discussion about, or probably little idea about title also. Okay. That, like, since we are talking about the paper, how can I not talk about the title? Guys, when you're talking about the journals, right? Journals do look for that how precisely you have given a title, or rather I should say that given an appropriate title to your work. It should not have any kind of jargons, any kind of abbreviation. First thing. Second thing, it should not be a lengthy title, or it should not be too short, that like less than 8 words or so, that it does not look like a title. Okay. Second thing, third thing is that if you choose to have a subtitle, that is after your, after these colons, you choose to have a subtitle, then do not go for a lengthy main title. Like, I'll give you, this is the main title, this is the subtitle. After these punctuation marks, whatever comes is your subtitle. So either you go for a lengthy main title, or you go for a lengthy subtitle. Both of them should not be a lengthy one. Both of them should not look like a story, because that will actually gives your title a messy look. Plus, journal will not accept it. They will tell you to reframe your title. Also, We are not revealing our paper through the title only. We are, make sure, another important thing is make sure you have keywords in your title. Remember, we talked about keywords. I'll just take back to you all to those slides. uh if you remember, we went to this abstract section. This one's keywords. So these keywords which you give in by the end of your abstract, you need to make sure that you use them in your title. Okay, you need to make sure that you use them in your title. So good top tier journals, basically, generally your title length, word limit of your title should be something around 16 to 20 words. It is okay, and not less than 8 words. So what I'm telling you is, just be specified when it comes to title, word counts, and use of keywords. Because if your title does not have keywords, it will not come in search for other researchers, and your paper will not get citations. So journals, as a standard, also ensure that your title has a keyword. Okay, also, now this is the standard structure which I discussed about. So in this standard structure, make sure that you gives a logical flow. Your manuscript is easy to read. These are the standards which I'm telling you for the journals. Okay, these are these are the points which comes beyond the textual quality of your paper. I'm not talking about the methods and all. It's just that, paper should look like one body. Okay, you should provide a map to your reader. Because uh, you know it is like that, if I don't want to read the background of your paper, I just straight away want to go to the methodology. So I'm able to do that. Okay, and also, what all is included in your article, you should talk about it in your introduction. Straight away discuss that. Okay, all right, moving on to another section. So this I have included as a reference for you. Now, if you can see, probably may not be clear in your screens, but when you'll get the PDFs, you really will find it very useful. I have actually given it the entire flow of the paper for as a standard. Now, this flow chart you can use as a standard, so that majority, or like all the top tier journals, they are looking for these things in the respective sections of the paper. Okay, so when you're for instance, when you're talking about abstract, paragraph long summary, what it had to be there, study question methods. If you're talking about results, all the key findings accurately written, leaving no space for interpretation. You use textual diagrams or combination of both. How your findings are advanced or fill gaps in the existing knowledge. Now, what all has been required from each of the section, I have given it all. Okay, I have given it all for you. Okay, now comes the toughest part. That is when we send for a paper, that is like, we have submitted our examination sheet and results is used to come. And in result, we receive some of the feedbacks, which we primarily, which we are not expecting sometimes, or if we are expecting that it's now high time to revise them. Okay, so firstly, just take it easy. It's not a crime to receive a reviewer feedback. That means if you're getting a feedback, see, if it's a complete no show, then they'll tell you in advance only. Okay, then if you are getting a feedback from the reviewer, so then firstly, not necessarily that every feedback needs to be answered, or probably whatever is reviewer saying, you have to change that in your paper. Please be mindful of that, because the reviewer has a different research acumen. You have conducted that research with that different research acumen. So that means if that reviewer is showing his or her research acumen, you have not justified your stance in the paper. So likewise, I'm telling you that there is no necessity to incorporate all the changes on the basis of feedback of the reviewer. You can justify your comment stating that why not what reviewer is saying. Okay. Having said that, I am not saying that you should not incorporate the feedback. Firstly, understand what the feedback is saying. Second thing, focus on the most important part. Okay. Let's say important part, I'll tell you how to do that. Anything in the methodology. Anything in the methodology, if any question is being raised, whether you can incorporate that change or you don't, you want to justify it, that has to be a priority. Plus, when you send you when you send your reply to the reviewer, make sure whatever comments you have received, you have answered them all. Whether you have incorporated that feedback or you have not incorporated that, how will you do that? Raise that comment, your justification. Raise that comment, your justification. So that it is like a question and answer. So the reviewer and the editor gets an assurance that all the feedback is being taken care well. Another thing is you will be given a deadline to submit the feedback or the comments. Do not just wait for the last date. And also, you just do not that today you receive the comments and tomorrow you give the comments. Take your time. Okay. Then don't wait that 25 is the last date, I'll submit it on 25 morning. No. You can do it by 24th morning or 23rd evening. Please do that. Okay. Also, you can either go for a cover letter or probably a letter explaining, or journals they give you a feedback comment document in which you need to mention the comments, you need to give your answers. Okay, so there is no set way to revert, or you can email them also. Okay, like appreciating, now how will you email it? Appreciating their efforts to review your paper, then you start away. Just don't straight away start giving the answers to their comments. You appreciate their efforts that they took time to review your paper, and then you move on to answering them. Okay, and plus, in no point or at no point you should be sounding offensive in your language, particularly to the questions where you are not on the same page as the reviewer. Like, reviewer said this research could have been better done employing qualitative research, and you have done quantitative, or probably a particular research method has been challenged, but you do not agree with it. Okay, so politely you have to answer that comment, like, based on your research acumen, it has been appreciated that you provided another angle or provided another eye to my research. However, then you start yours. Okay, I hope you're getting my point, what I'm saying. Okay, now couple of steps how you respond to the reviewer comments. So this is, like, that's what I said, guys. I have summarized everything in a way that whenever you go back to your these PDFs, you'll find the answer to your majority of the queries. Okay, so firstly, like I said, just do not be in a hurry to respond to everything. Like, today I have got the comments, tomorrow I'll just carefully read them. Another thing, like I told you, appreciate that they took their time. Now, appreciation is also required that you are being courtesized to appreciate, or you as a researcher has to be with a tone of the language which is polite. Okay. Then create a structured response. Structured response is every question, every comment, answer. Every comment, answer. Okay. Justify if you are not implementing their suggestions. Like I told you, that not every change can be accommodated. If not, has to be justified. Now, don't say that no, 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 this change I can't, I'm not doing it, but I'm not taking off this comment. No, you can't do that. If any question has been raised, you can change it or you don't. You have to answer it. Okay, with a justification. Don't simply say that no, 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 this can't be done. No, this is not a justification. Okay. Then detailed response, how you have modified your manuscript as per their expectations, what all evidences you have like sometimes you can get a review that not enough literature is being provided. So where what all literature you have provided with the evidences in the references list, you will be providing and highlighting it, that all these references or all this literature is being recently reviewed. Okay. Then use track, like I said, highlight your changes so that editor can quickly go to that this is the comment I gave and this is the answer. Okay, and this is the way they have done. Be transparent, like if you can't change as per their expectation in all the aspect, just tell them about their expectation and very polite way. Each reviewer has to be separately given answer. Let's say your paper has given to more than one reviewer and you get the feedback comments from all of them, so don't merge their comments in just one answer. Address each review separately. Now it depends upon the editor that they want you to send the each comment feedback separately, or you can send them in one go. However, addressing each feedback review separately, but take them separately even if you are sending together. Okay. If there is any clarification needed, some things, some comments are you don't understand, you are not clear of, then don't assume anything. Just politely write back to the editor, or if you are get directly in touch with the peer like review, if it's not a blind review, then just politely ask them to explain their comments. But just don't assume and provide your answers to unclear comments to you that you haven't understood anything and you just went upon. Okay. Then reflect on the process, that how, like at last, like in starting, like you appreciated their time and feedback. At last, how this entire peer review process has refined your research, has made you gain from their feedback. This should be your ending lines. Okay. Now, another very important thing because of which majority of the researchers are not making their way out to the publication, that is ethical consideration. Okay. Many journals, majority I should say, that they give you a originality certificate to sign on, that your paper is original. When you sign it, make sure that yes, your paper is original, it has not been submitted before, or probably you have not duplicated any other findings. Proper citation should be there, because this way it tells you to avoid the plagiarism, which I'll be talking about. And data should not be fabricated, because it should not be a false picture being given in the data. And whatever ethical standards are to be followed, like you have taken the respondent's consent, probably they are okay to release the information, all these ethical consideration, because journals categorically are asking that how you have ensured the ethical considerations. Okay. So first and the most important is plagiarism. So when you talk about plagiarism is basically when you're using somebody else's idea, language, probably an original material, without taking their consent. Like if you're using my paper, the material from my paper, and you have not acknowledging my source, there is no citation, there is no referencing, that's plagiarism. But Let's say I have my own paper published in 2017 and I want to take the content from it to be published to the paper which is to be published in 2024. Can I copy the content without citing the source? No, because even though it's my paper but it's published, it is called as self plagiarism. Okay, which is this one, self plagiarism. Second thing is, if I copy the content but cite the source, as in I have completely taken on the content but I have cited the source also, that also plagiarism. You have to change the language. When I say change the language only, do not change the meaning of it. Plus, definitions or any material, any original text which is in inverted commas, which is in such kind of commas, you can't change them. So it is always suggestive that to have less plagiarism, don't take much of this kind of material because you can't change it. Lastly, is I have cited the source, I have rephrased it. Now, in my opinion, or as per me, rephrasing is when I have changed couple of words. No, changing couple of words or substituting couple of words is when you're very close to the original text. You have to change the entire language. An entire rephrasing has to be done, right? But keeping the meaning intact. That is what you have to take care of. So, what are the ethical considerations in what do you call as publishing? Is basically do not duplicate. When we know we are talking about salami, we are talking about the top tier journals, and we cannot have uh, publications which are more than in one places. No, you cannot do that because that's actually a crime. That's actually a crime because you have already shared that work somewhere else. Okay, false data, don't do that. If there is any authorship, like authorship issues means, if let's say there are 5 authors, name them all. If you have used the data without taking the consent, please don't do that. Salami slicing, which is which has been cutted out here, is basically when you gradually reduce the text by a series of small, like cut it down this, cut it down this, cut it, don't do that. That basically, when you call as you're removing the comments or you're removing the material in small portion that lose out the authenticity of the data, plus in credibility of the work. Plus plagiarism should not be there, citation manipulation should not be there. Let's say for example, you have in your research you have 14 citations. Let's say I don't know, I'll think that like 14 more from other paper, but I have not used these citations in my paper, but let it be just to increase the number of citations. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so these are some ethical considerations which you need to take care in publication. How you can increase the impact of your paper? See, now it's the world of social media. So please share your paper with many of the people. LinkedIn is very important source. Google Scholar, on your create your own ORCID ID. Collaborate with your research fellows and use right kind of keywords. That's the key. That's the key. Good keywords. You say that why my paper is not getting good citations, because your paper is not coming into the search of other researchers. It is nowhere in their search. How will it get be cited, right? So good kind of keywords need to be there. So the key is to start simple. There's no way to, we are not creating any kind of sci fiction movie. Very simply, post your article on your social media, or just let the people know that you have published something. Okay, make sure you engage with any kind of conversation. Like if somebody say that you have posted an announcement on LinkedIn that you know I'm happy to announce that so and so paper has been published. No, you get the comments from your fellow researchers that nice to read it, and can I get the, you have just publish the abstract of it? Can I get the link to access the full paper? Just get yourself involved in that kind of conversation, because that gives the paper a visibility. Okay. Now, let me tell you how you can actually use SEO technique, search engine optimization technique, to increase the discoverability of the paper online, so that your paper, so the people can find your paper online. All right. How you can do that? So, create a search engine friendly title, so that you have, again, keywords. Okay. Plus, do not make it too short, sorry, too long, and do not keep it too short also. That is also. Your abstract should have essential findings and the keywords. I'm talking in terms on specifically in the for the SEO, search engine optimization. Okay. Your title should have keywords. Your abstract should have keywords. Okay. Like for example, in your title, you should have at least 1 to 2 title. In your keywords, in your abstract, you should have at least 2 to 3 keywords. Okay. See, this entire visibility is all about how you play well with your keywords. Okay. Just make sure that you link your paper with different social medias, networking, and encourage your colleagues to link your article, tag your article also. Okay. So, keyword is the key, tagging is also a key. Okay. Couple of pitfalls you should avoid, couple of, I would say, that error you should avoid while publishing. Some of these are writing errors, some journal submission errors, or rejection also should not be taken as a step back categorically during the submission deadlines. If the submission deadline is till today, okay, we'll submit it like on that day only. Don't do that. There can be any last minute glitch, right? So please do avoid that. So I have just prepared a flow chart for you all. What are the pitfalls to be avoided in the writing phase? No poor references. Purpose should be clear. Research method should be very clear. I mean, there should be no unclear methods. That's what I meant to say. And the tables and narratives are same. What has been given in the table, it has been same given in the explanation also. That means table are given percentage, narratives is also given percentage. Interpret them. Okay. Then you are not telling about all the data. That has to be taken care of. Then comes next stage of pitfalls, that is when you are submitting to a journal. Poor cover letter. Like I told you about the cover letter, there has to be your name, your organization, the title of the paper, what is the methodology, key findings, why your paper is significant, like why the editor should publish your paper. That's a good cover letter if all these things are there. If any of it is missing, it is considered to be a bad cover letter. Okay. Assuming that after the paper has been submitted, the work is done. No, the work is yet to be done. That is, if you get any rejection, any revision, if it is accepted, then party. But do not wait too long to start again if you get a rejection. Maybe one journal has rejected your paper, but your door is always open for the another one. Okay. You just cannot discard your paper. Just cannot do that. It's not a bad paper. Maybe it's not meant for that particular journal. That does not, if they not did not accepted it, that does not mean that your paper is a bad paper. Prepare it for someone else. Plus, you're not addressing all the feedback comments. If any comment is missing, either again they will give you the feedback, then the process gets longer. Okay, so these are to be avoided. So some mm, case studies, or probably some examples, or when we talk about the good work, so the strategies for the good work are these. Again, might not be clear to your screen, but I have again prepared a flow chart. So mm, choose your topic carefully. Just do not go for what your teacher is asking. Probably uh, if you are not clear about the topic, you can change the topic. Plan a paper. Just don't start up and jump on to writing it. Okay. So just make sure that you take enough time. All right. Now, these are some of the guidelines which you can see for your research paper, which is a successful one. No jargon, simple language. See, again, I'm telling you, we are not on rocket science. We are not going to deliver a rocket science paper, right? We are just communicating our research. So, but that does not mean that you just follow what other researchers are doing when it comes to writing. Just be a unique writer. Clearly understood your contents. You should support your work with literature so that people know that you have good understanding. Do not be too innovative, or just do not start something new in the conclusion we have, which you haven't talked about the entire paper. Okay. And whosoever you are sending a paper to, just stick to their publication policy. Okay. Okay. So now it's time for the questions. So if you have any, and yes, okay. PPTs will be shared to you all. Um and Mr. Yogesh, I've told you that how you can actually talk about the reviewer comment also. Okay. Okay. Firoz have a question. Madam, please elaborate. Is there any criteria to select research paper in numbers for review papers? Uh, I think so. There is no criteria actually, to be very honest, that I can stick to 50 or 40. No, you might not get enough information in those papers. You might have to select for more, or you can get your job well done in 2025. Now, when it comes to criteria, so stick to your or probably you or just don't stick to. Sorry, I said stick to. Just do not stick to your own objectives, because that will not open up your horizons. Probably similar objectives or probably similar variables can help you land with more number of papers. Okay. How to cross check and adopt the reviewers queries in your paper? I think I have told you, Dr. Inan Alap. Okay, if I have pronounced it wrong, I'm so sorry. Cross check and adopt the reviewers queries. Like I told you, there is no need to adopt all the changes what reviewer said, but politely refusing them is okay. Okay. Standard, I have told you, Dr. Srinivas. PDF will be there. Thank you, Mr. Padmakar. Thank you so much. Thank you. Will your organization will publish the paper in your own journal? Why not you launch it? Thank you. I will do so. I will. I will. I have couple of publication in various places, but considering for going for a journal, definitely, opening up a journal or launching a journal, I will be definitely will be considered. Okay. Mr. Rajesh has a question of that. Please elaborate on H index. Now, when you say that H index is basically, you count, it is has been calculated by counting the number of publication. Understand? Counting the number of publication for which an author has been cited. Like, let's say you have 10 publications, out of which you have been cited by other authors for 8. Okay, by cited the other authors. Okay, at least that same number of times. Let's say, for example, for those 8 papers, you have been cited by other authors like for 3 to 4 times. Okay, so for instance, I'll give you an example. If you say that H in Texas 17, that means the author publicers has published at least 17 papers, and each been cited 17 times. So if Mr. Rajesh has H index of 8, so Mr. Rajesh has at least published 8 paper which has been at least cited by 8 times. Okay. 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 Organic chemistry thesis writing for graphic data provided by you. You can get in touch with the team, Chandrakant. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abby. Thank you so much. I will take your questions. Mr. Rajesh, your question has been taken care of. How can I identify journals with the same name? Example, innovation one is reputable and the other is predatory. Okay. Now, see, to identify the predatory journals, you go to their home pages. But when you say that home pages, or you all, it might also can give you the similar information. The claim, the indexing they claim, let's say they say that, it is Scopus indexed. So you can check it on the Scopus list, Scopus website, that whether that particular journal which is claiming to be indexed there, it is Scopus indexed or not. So you can check it on the Scopus website. Okay. So do you agree that, do you think the journal with high impact factor is reputable? Yes. If you see, the impact factor for most opportunities is very low. Even see, now basically it is like a reverse thing when we say that. It's like a reverse thing. No, because for every journal, it is difficult actually to achieve an impact factor of 10, or say something like that. But that does not mean that an impact factor of 1 or 2, wherein, good journals, many of the good journals have like, low impact factor like 1 or 2. That does not mean, because calculating impact factor has a formula, right? So completely depend upon that, uh, how many citations are being done. Like I told you, that many field take times to work to get cited, but that does not mean that the publications which are being done in the journals are bad, because they are taking time for the publication plus to get cited also. Okay. Madam, please tell us out, what does it mean and how to check for their. You can check. See, these are the different quartiles. They tells you, Dr. Vivek, about the ranking of the journals, and you can check the details on the Scopus website, which I have given you the screenshot also. That which journals falls into which quartile. It is basically the ranking. Mr. Subedi, like I told you in the very starting, that all of you are from the different domains, and unfortunately, my limitation is that I'm not an expert of all the domains. So I have told you to get the top tier journals. I have tell you the way. Now you can, you can dig down on the top tier journals as per your field. Okay. Madam, take a publication of papers of authors. Surely, 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 Dr. Padmakar, I think we were thinking to connect, and let's connect sometime. Some of the agencies are taking money for publication. Now, see, Nivedita, this is a very good question, I would say that. Because, let me answer Dr. Vivek first. Yes, Dr. Vivek, your answer is yes. They have different ISSN number. Coming back to Nivedita's question, and I think this question will be of use for all of you. You get many publication house asking you for money. Okay. And they will say that we will get your paper published in this journal or this journal or this journal. Now, if they are claiming to publish your paper in good ranking journals with good impact factor, I would not say high, I would say good impact factor, then go back to the journal website, understand the submission and the publication criteria. Does it matches with the one which you are, being asked for? And tell them, or ask them, inquire about that, what are the previous papers you have been published, I want to recheck. Just straight away tell them, I want to recheck. Because there are market flooded with these kind of pigeons, I would say that, who are charging, minting money for publication. Couple of them are good also, but generally they do not have high ranking journals with them, because high ranking journals, they have tedious review process. Okay. So just you can simply ask them that, you tell me that, what all journals you are publishing in, and cross check the journals ranking and the impact factor. Rishali, you'll be getting the PPTs surely. Where do we get the UGCK listed journal? This is available on the internet, Ashank. You can find it. Okay. All right, guys. Do we have any other questions? Please feel free to type in. Guys, do we have any question? Okay, okay, Dr. Vivek, I think I should be knowing it that see these are the category of journals which are being the list is being released by UGC University Grant Commission, and according to them they are the good journals. So they basically these are the journals which have been get which have got accredited and recognized by UGC Grant Commission. So that's as UGC journals. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you so much. Rather, thank you everyone. I should say that. Thank you everyone for being a so interactive audience, and I always enjoy interacting with you all. And a couple of people as you know have been very consistent in attending. Why do some journals take very long that's see Halima, we can't say that the why do they take long because of their peer review process. If it's that's long, that will take long time to because sometimes what happen is the editor sends the paper to reviewer. They give them couple of week times to review the paper, then they send it back. So generally the reviewer takes time to review your paper. Okay, Abby, ma'am, I have published an article with impact factor, however, it is not reputable. Abby, it depends upon the field. Like I told you, many feel they takes time for the work to get cited. That's why the impact factor of the journal is not that high. If you're, you know, but the journal is good, but the journal is good. Okay. Now, when you are saying the journal is not reputable, check about the indexing of the journal also. Okay. UGC list, Dr. Vivek, you can get it on the internet. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. During the presentation, somewhere at the choosing of you were supposed to say about the suddenly you could yourself and went on another. Would you please? Mr. Naveen, I see. Uh, I did not quit actually, but I realized that the audience is from the multiple domain fields. Okay, and like I told you, that commenting about any particular any particular subject or the field would not be appropriate from my end because I'm not an expert, right? But I have told you that what is the matrix to be followed when it comes to selection of the journals. You can use that matrix and then you can select the right journal for yourself. Yes, Mr. Rajesh, PPTs will be given to you. I need to publish my article for my PhD in UGC. Dr. Vivek, firstly, being a PhD scholar, you should know about UGC uh, care journals. And where can I know about a good UGC journal? I mean, see these information you can get. All the list is available on the internet. You have all. Plus, UGC above listed is there are a lot of websites also where you can. There are a lot of publication houses also. Like one is IAJ. Um, I'm just typing it for you if I'm getting it right. IAJ SM publication. You can get it here, I think. Just check it once, Dr. Vivek, at your end, right? Shall I get previous session PPTs on different topics from research graduate? Of course. I'm sure, Mr. Badmakar, you must have got these PPTs in your registered email ID with which you have the attended the previous webinars. I have given it, Dr. Vivek. So you are, if I may ask, Dr. Vivek, you are pursuing a PhD. So you have already a PhD, or you are like how you like because your name says doctor. So if it's a double PhD, then it is commendable. All right, guys. If there is any more questions, please feel free to barge in before we end on the webinar. Thank you. Okay, okay. Because I assume so that you have a doctor in you as prefixed in your name. That's why. Do we have any other question, guys? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. It's a publication, how, Dr. Vivek. Thank you. They will provide you the list. Thank you so much, Seema. It's lovely to hear from you again. Thank you, everyone. So we shall see all of us in the next webinar, and you'll be posted upon it very soon. And just be there. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy if you organize another. Definitely, Abby. We'll be presenting on another topics as well, and you'll be keep posted about that. Thank you, Dr. Padmaka. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. It was great pleasure with you talking to you all. All right. Thank you so much.